over this stabbing. It happened just after leaving Peterborough. It was 7:39 in the evening. You can only imagine, Jade, how busy that train would have been.
Yeah, of course. So this is obviously the weekend of Halloween. We're going into bonfire night. You don't expect this to happen on a busy train going into London. But this horrific recount that the Times has of those horrific scenes coming out of this incident, you know, passengers scrambling to get away, hiding in the toilet, calling out that they love each other. You know, it's a really, really horrific incident that you just don't expect, and the sense of a lack of safety on a very, very busy train where there's just very little escape, right? So obviously 2 people have been arrested. There's little detail as to, much speculation, but little detail as to who they are. But what we do know is that 10 people are severely injured in hospital, and hopefully they are okay. But obviously, you know, one of the amazing things come out of this is just how quickly the first responders went to the scene and managed to deal with the situation, and how quickly they were arrested as well, if you were to get any silver lining at all.
No, absolutely. I think it's really important that there has been universal praise, Charlie, for the emergency services that were on that scene very quickly. Armed police were deployed to the station following that very first report.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, on a Saturday night, every emergency services will be busy. And so to be able to respond in the time that they did, as has been reported, which was immensely quick, will obviously be welcome. And of course, the response of the driver, imagine on that train that has just departed Peterborough, he then obviously would have heard, he or she would have heard an alarm that has come through and had to then make a decision, well, you know, is this somebody having a laugh? Is there somebody drunk on my train or whatever? But then obviously the reports came through that you need to stop, and he did within about 5 minutes, pulling into Huntingdon in an emergency, and then the responders, armed police and ambulance and crew were all there ready to leap into action. And so I think in a very, very dark news day of those injured who are in hospital, you know, the stories of the emergency services and people that, you know, we might hear about on the train, how they might have acted to help and support and protect other passengers. You know, you never know those kinds of stories that will come out. But at the minute, we've just got to wait and allow the police to do their job, to get to the bottom of what they need to get to the bottom of, and for the information to be public as soon as possible, before we can then sort of, I think, feel a bit more ease as a country.
Jay, the article pulling out, as we've been reporting here on Sky News, statements from the political spectrum, all universally condemning this. So Keir Starmer, they're quoting, saying this is an appalling incident on a train near Huntingdon, is deeply concerning, and his thoughts, he's saying, are with those affected. And that will be a universal thread for the politicians.
Yes, they've all party leaders and the local MP who you just had on have all come out and obviously universally condemned, praised the first responders and urged caution on speculation as well.
Charlie, I think you made this point too, along with Jade, about the witness statements that we've heard throughout the morning, reacting to what happened. A witness describing seeing a man with a large knife and saying that there was blood everywhere. And I suppose a lot of the accounts, as we'll hear them through the day, you know, people trying to protect each other, a man shielding a younger child, people locking themselves in toilets to save themselves. Again, painting a picture of chaos, horrific scenes, and ultimately, those people that we're talking about, they were trapped on that train. There was no way of getting off in that moment.
Exactly, and trapped is the absolute right word on a moving train where you can't escape. And, you know, I think one eyewitness described it as something like a movie, and that is probably how it is. It's the only way we might be able to describe it, because that's the only scenes we would have seen. But these people on the train would have had to live that in real life, in real time. So it'll be horrifying, not just the physical injuries that some people might have injured, but the families that have got to endure the mental scars of being on that train at that particular time, the communities, the first responders, the train driver, everybody that's leapt into action to try and contain and deal with this horrific and major incident, it'll live with them forever. So, but the stories, as you say, of heroism, I think will shine a little bit of light, hopefully, on what is a very, very dark time.
The other aspect that some people are speaking about, including Shabana Mahmood, Home Secretary, urging people, look, at this stage, don't speculate, don't post videos online of what you might have seen. That's a really important thread in this story too, because, as we said, an investigation is ongoing. Police are collating evidence where they can, and so posting anything really is quite detrimental.
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously it's a live investigation, but also, spreading concern and fear at this point when, people continue to try to go on with their days, it's obviously not very helpful. So, yeah, sort of across the political spectrum, people are urging to maintain calm and avoid speculation.
Go for it, Charlie.
No, well, all I was going to add is that the only way to stop people speculating is to publish the information. Once you've got it, you have to be straight with the public about who these two, I know two have been arrested, so it may be two of perpetrators, it might just be one. So, you've got to allow that to run its course. But we've got to know, I think, as a public, they've got a right to know, and communities will want to know, who are these individuals who have been arrested? What were their motives? What do the police know? What can government tell us, just so we can adapt? Which is an awful way of putting it, because we do have to adapt as we live our lives, because we see these stabbings. It was Southport 2 years ago. It is now a horrific incident on this train. For whatever the motivations of these, the perpetrators are, we've got a right to know as a public, and I think that will just make us, again, as a public, understand how we can live our lives and go about it as a safe society, or as safe as we possibly can be.
What have you made of the political reaction so far, Charlie?
I think it's obviously it's very early days. I think, look, there needs to be a message that says any form of barbarism in this way. Counter-terror police have been involved in the investigation. It is not a terrorist incident at this stage. It is still a major incident. But if it becomes a terrorist incident, and if you can, that can be terrorism on the far left or the far right. It can be Islamist extremism. It can be far right extremism. But either way, government, I think, and politicians have got to call out that extremism and barbarism and say that there is no place in the UK, in Western society, for this kind of attack, whoever the perpetrators are, and nothing will be tolerated.
OK. Charlie and Jade, thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Stephen Murphy, and I'm Sky's Ireland correspondent based here in Dublin.